busy trying to refocus and see what to do to get the best out of 2025. And then we're also focusing on the issues within the entertainment sector, as well as the entire creative industries. We want this year to be better. We want to uplift the creative industry to be one of the major sectors of the economy.
Well, thank you. So before we actually take a dive into this discussion for today, I'd like us to just reflect on, we have this very sad news. The Nation Media Group family, of course, is in mourning following the tragic death of our colleague, Risdel Kasasira, who is a former investigative journalist with the Daily Monitor. Risdel died yesterday in a fatal car accident in Liantonde. He was traveling back to Kampala from his home village of Kashari in Mbarara together with his wife, who was driving the car. And they had 2 children, a 5-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl. Of course, our deepest sympathies go to his family and all his loved ones. Risdel was one of the most fearless journalists I think we have seen in this country in a very long time. He's a brilliant fellow, down to earth, brave.
I recall him, in taking a mandate to cover Al-Shabaab. That's one of the fierce groups. Trekking the forests of Congo, writing stories about the president. They could complain, threaten, but
he was fearless.
He could still remain a journalist.
It is really, really a very, very sad and dark day. I think for a lot of us, it's like a bad dream we are hoping to just wake up from and say and actually realize that, it was just a bad dream. But as the hours go on, you realize this is not just a bad dream. It is real. It has happened. And we can only pray for his family, and we definitely pray that God grants his soul eternal rest.
And we pray for the family, because right now the wife and the children are in the hospital, and the good news is that they are recovering. So it would be again.
I don't even want to imagine. It's something that I just can't wrap my head around. I think I last saw him either early December or November. I was going for a workshop, and we just bumped into each other. I was serving my coffee, and then I said, "Are you here?" He's like, "I am here too." And then immediately he received a phone call, and he said, "You know what? I just received a call that my son's school is on fire." And I told him, "You just can't even be here. Just run." And that was the last time. Like we didn't even spend a minute talking to each other, and that was the last time. So the next thing I see, all these tributes on Twitter yesterday, and I was like, "This can't be happening." So that's a sad news for us, and it's not a good way for us to start the year. But this is something beyond our control. So, gentlemen, it's today's 4 days into 2025 rather. I think I'm still stuck in the past. I need to accept that times have changed. Well, for most people, it is still a festive season. I think there are people who are still going on up to probably 15th or so, then they wake up and like, it's a new year.
And there's that confusion that, Christmas happened in the weekday. So even counting days.
So I was home. I traveled to Gulu to be with my family. And by 24th, we were still doing last minute shopping. And I was telling my aunt, "Look, we need to go shop." I said, "Wait, what's the day today?" I said, "Today is 24th. I said, "What? I thought Christmas was still days away." I said, "No." And no one seemed to actually understand. People were thinking, it's going to be a weekend. And I'm like, you need to keep track of the calendar. So, for a lot of people, a festive season, what does it really come with? Lots of fun, merrymaking, visiting friends and family. And a lot of entertainment, whether it's music concerts, theater performances. The entertainment industry is always ripping big. This is your season.
And I like the fact that this time around the theater wasn't dead. Usually the theater is closed during Christmas. But people were treated to good comedy for courtesy of Fun Factory. And I like that. Our people at theater used to sleep on their job. It is Christmas and they are going to
and they leave it to the
make things
musicians.
merry and leave it to the musicians, forgetting the fact that our industry was built on theater.
Yeah.
Even the music, it started as musical theater with the days of Kalidi Kapapali, Bakaimbira.
The concept was music, dance, and drama.
Music, dance, and drama. Yes. Every play would
have a musical, a drama element.
Yeah, a drama element, and the climax would be always whatever music. That's why even the plays would be named more of the songs that appear at the climax of the play. I remember Ruimba Rwankoko, Ruimba Rwagalana, Nabutono itself, our first commercial recording, that's 1951. Yeah, it was a play. And at the end of it all, someone shows up to sing. Yeah,
it's basically a musical.
Yeah,
it's more of a musical. So, but now, what has got everyone talking this last 4 days? The violence, the violent turn that our music is, our industry is taking, the gangster lifestyle that is and criminality that is becoming characteristic of the industry. Sadly, the Alien Skin versus Palazzo situation that is on everyone's
then the
mouth.
bouncers come in the mix. The Bouncers Association come in the mix. The organizers, it's chaos everywhere.
Actually, I didn't even watch that video. I didn't watch what exactly happened, and I've been looking for it, because I wasn't actually there.
You do not need to look to watch the video again and again, because it is disgraceful and it's painful. Because if you watch right from the events that happened at the palace, right to how things happened at Alien Skin's home, you even be prompted to pick sides,
which doesn't even help. It doesn't really,
which doesn't even help. So I encourage people not even to watch.
To go there. so let me. Thankfully, I'm not even going to go there. Let me come to you, Juma.
Yes.
You work with you promote talent.
True.
Okay, musical talent or artists. What do you actually make of this kind of this trend that we are actually seeing? Music has always been contentious, of course. It's not just something that is starting here. We've seen, if you're to go to the US, for instance, in the 90s, the B.I.G. versus Tupac Shakur, the East Coast versus West Coast things, and how bad that actually turned out to be. Here in Uganda, I think 20 years ago, we've seen this with the Chameleons and so on, but it never got to these levels. You'd hear musical battles, you'd hear maybe lyrical battles.
It did. It surely did. Only that previously we didn't have Android. we didn't have cell phones to record those things. Okay, so things have changed. That someone can be eating a cake like this and they take picture, they post somewhere like that. But Juma will remind you about something called the war bus. Previously, we had the war buses. There were two. One belonging to Jose Chameleon and the other one to Bobby Wine. And they were lethal and fierce, as you can just imagine. Only that they outgrew such incidents faster. So it is the return of what we used to see. For those who have been in the industry.
Yeah, but normally the previous gang, it's not like this one that we are seeing now. Because there was before they were artist war. Their gang was
who does better music than.
Yes, no. There were fights there, but behind the scene. But now we are seeing this gang to the audience, beating crowds to the around the event, which is not good. But for the previous gang, the fights were between Chameleon and Bebe Cool.
Artistic groups. Yes. Yeah. But right now, you find that journalists are victims, women, children, and the audience. Everyone is getting in the mix.
Yeah. Yes, Juma.
So that's the challenge you are getting now. That these people they are now bringing their gang into the audience, which will affect our business.
Charles, from where you sit, what do you make of this kinds of scenarios that are emerging?
It's a very disgraceful thing that it is happening. I wish these guys could restrict their gangism and violence to the groups. This is not to say that it's a good thing to fight at all. Looking at the bigger picture, we are trying to build a vibrant public entertainment industry. And we, over the years, maybe the last 2 or 3 years, we've been talking to government and other stakeholders that this is a very important industry where we need public investment, but also trying to appeal to private sector people that have resources or money that they could invest in the sector. So for an investor like Walunywa who invests in an event, violence at concerts is a disservice to his business. Many people are not coming to concerts anymore because they don't want their phones stolen, they don't want to be beaten, so this is the unintended consequence of the activities of the gangs. So as a culture forum, we really feel that we need to do something about this trend to ensure that the people that are investing are protected, the funds are protected, and equally the performers.
Okay, so of course, most of these musicians definitely subscribe to certain groups or federations that bring them together, or musical associations. What is the role or the relevance of these groups, these bodies, when it comes to ensuring that there's some level of discipline or decorum within the sector? Do you think they're actually doing much, or do you think they're actually not as relevant in terms of steering or checking the artists?
My brother Charles will be in position to discuss groups, but the worst enemy for the musicians in Uganda, the groupings. Most of the groups are created with selfish benefits. You will see my brother here, Juma, has his own group that started on a note, on a mixed, with a mixed vision. Some of his members are targeting to siphon money from politicians. Others want to improve the job. You understand? When it comes to other groupings, say the federation, the musicians association, each one is created out of protest, out of discontent, thinking that the latter is benefiting more than the other. You understand? At the end of the day, the persons who are supposed to rearrange, to organize these groups are sleeping on their job. See, my brother Charles is leading the apex body. Literally, each group in the industry must report to the National Culture Forum, because it is the apex body that works with the Uganda National Culture Center and the ministry up to cabinet. And at the end of the day, when money is involved, Charles can't be allowed to address promoters. He can't. I remember there is an incident that happened at Serensot. That houses, it's called a rule, it changed the name. That houses the Uganda Musicians Federation. Charles had gone there to brief artists the do's and don'ts in their bill, their copyright bill. A musician stood up and said, you old man, you are going to smash your laptop. What we are waiting for is money, not your narratives. You understand? So if we have individuals who think that Parliament is going to pass a law and they gather to share money, what sort of people are we dealing with? So it's a mess from the bottom to the apex body. The apex body, which is a bit organized, it is totally disrespected, and no one wishes to work with the likes of Ragadi, Charles Watamze, because they think they are earning more and they are suffocating their earnings from government, which earnings do not exist. So literally, it is a wrong time. It is even a bad dream to discuss musician groupings right now.
Charles, what has your experience been like in terms of steering the Culture Forum and reaching out to artists and actually having them, understand that there are rules that actually govern their trade, and there's certain things that they actually have to do to abide by. There are rules they have to abide by. And being a celebrity or an artist does not necessarily mean you're above the law.
Let me start from the beginning. Sometime in 2006, some artists and government sat together to draw up what is known as the National Culture Forum, not forum, policy of 2006. This policy is the framework under which everybody in the cultural and creative industries sector operates. It lays out a number of things that all of us are expected to do. Before 2006, one of the challenges of government was how to interface with the artists. Because what would happen, today Valunywa would come to face the minister and say, for us, our interests are these. Then tomorrow, Gabriel comes and says, Valunywa does not speak for us.
We've had a lot of that, for sure.
So where I come from in Impiji, we have only one musician, but we have a musician association.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So in 2006, they decided that we need some kind of framework that is not government, but private sector led, so that we can have cohesive, collective voices of artists represented, because there are many issues that come up in public policy and law, and normally you would want to have many of these issues, so that as a government, we are addressing these people and what the actions we are taking are relevant. They can uplift their practices. So that's how the National Culture Forum got to be included in the National Culture Policy of 2006 as a private sector body where artists and all people that work in the creative sector would work to generate views on many of the issues that affect their trades. Of course, it has been a very difficult road bringing these people together.
So the forum brings the artists, the promoters,
the entire creative industry. We have 9 domains, even though most people talk about music.
You also have the non-performing arts.
Music is just one of the domains. Then we have the performing arts, comedy, theater, and so on. We have film. We have visual art and crafts. We have books and press. We have culture and natural heritage. We have collecting societies, apps and innovations, and the 9th one, we call it support services. That's where the promoters, MCs, and everybody that works in the sector, collectively, we represent almost 500,000 people that directly work in the culture and creative industries. So we have a force to reckon with. And unfortunately, even though we have the strength of numbers, we are very weak because of divergence of views, levels of how people perceive things, and so on. Ambitions. So, like Gabriel has pointed out, there is the central issue of money. Who has access to public money? And that has been a cause.
Does the money exist?
It does.
Okay.
Juma Barunywa here knows in 2021 actually they started a campaign. We supported them for government to rescue their businesses. What was called the stimulus fund.
Yeah, the COVID
yeah, COVID rescue. And the promoters got 5.6 billion to help them, survive. Maybe these guys would completely have been wiped off in the face. And yet they are very important.
Some were
the value chain.
Some were wiped off.
Of course, some. Yeah.
I know someone who benefited and he was not supposed to benefit. He simply claimed to own a concert, an event that he doesn't own. At the end of the day,
so
someone was disenfranchised.
Yeah, the haggling and around money has been a very big challenge in terms of now the National Culture Forum or even national associations managing the first of all the expectations of members and so on. For music, at a certain point, we had over 20 musician associations because everybody wanted to be the leader and be at the forefront so that when the money comes, they are the ones signing on the check and allocating the resources. So, however, we give a benefit of doubt. Normally, when you are getting people together, they have not been working together to begin with. So building a common vision around which to rally them, but also developing the skills of the leaders to be able to manage expectations, create hope, inspire others to allow to be led, is something that has been ongoing. So over time, of course, for instance, for the promoters, when there was announcement that they would get the 5.6 billion, also there were several promoter associations
that emerged.
When the money was finished, now they came back together. At least right now, they are united under UNEPA. He will explain what that is, and that's a good thing for the musicians. Initially, we had UMA, the Uganda Musicians Association. Then along the way, we had several splinter groups.
Because some people chose to cling on to power or something like that.
Something like that, yes. Then along the way, we had the emergence of the Uganda National Musicians Federation. And so we've had contests as to how the federation was constituted, the membership of the federation, and so on. But I believe that over time, as people learn, we allow the learning curve, people to go through that learning curve as people learn and come to realize the benefits of working together. That unity, that when you are united, your voice is stronger, government respects you and other stakeholders and so on. We believe that we shall get there. Now, for all other domains, film was also one of the most, they also had so many associations, yes. But over time, they are working to resolve their differences and be able to work together. But I think there was a misunderstanding at the beginning. Some people thought that the business was actually the associations, but now they are realizing that the associations are just platforms to
where the business,
where they can do the business. So you need to make your entity is stronger. So Barunywa Promotions has to be stronger, well managed and so on. But Barunywa Promotion alone cannot eradicate the challenges that exist for music promotion. For instance, taxes. Some of the issues are bigger than the individual companies. And you need to work collectively together to confront them.
Especially when it's a policy issue, then you need a collective voice.
Even the skills, and there are many other issues. So as artists come to realize that, the environment of business has changed, so they are now more willing to work together than it has been in the past.
So let me come to you, Juma.
Yes.
You, as a promoter, you identify the opportunities for the talent. You mobilize the resources, financial resources. You pay them. And ideally, one would wonder that if you are the ones contributing to their pockets, they should ultimately listen to you. But is this the case, though? Or because we don't seem to actually see musicians listening to their promoters in many cases.
Thank you so much. That's the challenge you are getting into this business. We wanted to look at it as business partners. But this business of events, normally, if the artist has a hit, or has because for our side, we normally look for who has business as now.
If John Segawa, as in a current trending song,
yes. Yeah. If John Segawa has a good play that people want to watch, I approach him, negotiate with him to the business, and I bring him on board. Now, the way of the challenge we are getting here is that you have your part to play. I also have mine. So there is at that level there is a boss to other, because you contact me when you want me, so you can't take it from me. That's the challenge you are getting with these people.
So it's purely, the relationship is purely transactional. There's nothing like maybe peer guidance or stewardship or something of that sort.
That's what we have been getting.
And one thing, a team that I've realized is that I've read and written and traveled courtesy of music, the arts industry. But what I know is that most associations, most groupings are comprised of struggling musicians and those who are into retirement. So, we are failing to understand that the business here is the art. You understand? Balunyo didn't have any business with Master Blaster, sort of someone who is no longer singing. Right? You understand?
So it's basically a trade-off between promoting the talent and also ensuring livelihoods for the artist. Yeah. Thank you. We are going to take a break, but before we do that, let me take this chance to welcome my other guest, Mr. John Segawa. Good morning.
Good morning, Judith.
You're welcome. Guys, you already know. Do I have to introduce you? Well, if you don't know him, John Segawa is a very, very common face on our screens in the theater. He's a director at Afri Talents. He's an artist. He's also with Bouyo Studios. You're going to tell me a little bit about Bouyo Studios after the break. Welcome back, and that's right, we are streaming live on www.kfm.co.ug. You can watch us, you can also tune in. We're talking about the performing arts sector and what's the outlook for 2025 for this particular sector. Bearing in mind that 2025 is also a heavily loaded political year. It's a year of political campaigns, and we're also going to be talking about politics and music. What does that mean for the sector or the industry? But before we went into the break, I had just welcomed my other guest, Mr. John Segawa. John, Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to the audience, the viewers, because now we're
digital. We're both audio and visual.
And the listeners. To those who had issues with the happy holidays, like lost their loved ones, we send our condolences. And for those who had a blast, continue.
But do it responsibly, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. So we had started by talking about the violence that has characterized the music industry lately, and we were just I was just picking the minds of the guests. I don't know if what your 2 cents are when it comes to that.
Actually, I beg to differ from the panelists. I've been listening to what they have been talking. For me, I think it's a bigger thing. It's not about them. It's about governance. It's about politics.
Of course,
It is about politics, nothing else. Do we talk politics here? Let's talk politics.
Yeah.
The government lost goodwill like 20 years ago. Okay? When they lost this goodwill, they sought to seek the goodwill elsewhere. And the people who had that goodwill, or who still have the goodwill, are the artists. Because that's the look of. Because the media portrays them as people of goodwill. However much they do this, they do the other, they are people of goodwill. So government wants people of goodwill. So they want to attach people of goodwill.
People of goodwill or people who pull crowds?
They think they are people of goodwill because that's the look of it.
Pulling crowds is part of goodwill.
Yes, you have optics.
Okay.
You have optics in very many things. So it started with this thing called Tubonga Now.
Yeah.
When politics fused with music, right? And when the musicians found easy money, they did not leave. That's the problem. Easy money, they did not leave. So music is fused with politics, right? And we know the problem with politics today. We are burdened by a 40-year regime. It's tired, right? Look at other sectors of government. Because why are we looking at the artists in particular? Because we are in the media. But look at the nurses. Look at cases here. Look at
The doctors themselves.
no UNRWA here. When you are
The roads,
the roads
yes.
in the city. Okay, that's governance. We cannot
Jump on.
and you cannot pull out. Okay. That we are a special breed, we are artists. Okay, we are supposed to be treated special. We are not. We are in the same bed with the rest. So it is governance. So the earlier we address the issue of governance, the earlier we address the issue of a tired regime, the better than discussing this. Because they have godfathers. These guys have godfathers, and you don't know them. Because government is divided within. There are different power centers. Okay, somebody will get power from this center, the other will get power from this center, and then the police cannot do anything because they do not know where you come from, which power center you are coming from. So how can I intervene? If I intervene on behalf of this one, then the other will have a complaint. If I intervene on behalf of this one, then there is chaos. So it is politics. It's nothing else. Yes.
Well, but I think before we came to Tubonga Now, didn't we have another rap? There was another rap, right?
Before Judith, before even another rap, previously he knows that our generous general who used to hobnob with Paul Kafel, and even the Sabbathers had their people within. So it is a plan that has been evolving up to where we are. Okay, so it is not a thing of yesterday, and I agree with him that we need to address the bigger picture other than clinging on to small issues that are going to keep coming in new fashions. And I predict here at KFM, if things go on like this, we'll be getting a Sipapa, a alien skin. The other time we will get an evil skin. They will come on like that. Okay. And don't get shocked that people are sympathizing with Palazzo, but one time, Palazzo can become the alien person, the dangerous person. Yeah,
these are elements just being used. They have no significance at all. They have nothing. You're talking about Sebatas and Kafel. The love for the music, General Jaina, for the love of our music, we appreciate it. But he overstretches the love to want to govern. Okay? You have been talking about the organizations, right? This organization, the other organization, this organization. But we know the politics of this regime is divide and rule, right? They will give Batambuze power and some money, and they will give Juma power and some money, and they will come to you and give you money and power. So how are you going to organize a very illiterate, base of artists? Because when we start understanding the levels of education of these artists, it is absurd. Why do they come in our industry, in our business in our organizations because it is open to anybody, right? Because they are not skilled. Because they see a certain guy, Aryan Skin, can go to a studio and come up with one song which is not even good, but he has coined a certain word, and the artist is selling a word, not music, right? And he's a star today, right? And the promoters, the Jumas of this world, they want numbers, and if they see a song with numbers, they jump on that and they start drawing banners and printing posters and bringing announcements on radio, okay, and the star is born. So my little boy from Mubende will see this and he'll go to a studio. There are studios everywhere and very cheap. You can go to a studio and produce a song at 200K
in 1 hour.
Yes, all right, and then you are a star tomorrow, right? So
and Valunyo will put you on his poster.
so guys, let's talk. I mean, we're still talking about money here, and I'm glad you actually brought the issue of the general and how artists are flocking to Gulu, my home district, to actually beg for cash handouts from him, and so on. And it is also understandable, looking at where we're coming from. This is post-COVID, and COVID definitely dealt a huge blow to the arts industry. But definitely we've also had enough time to recover. So music is about talent, and if someone is actually talented, we've seen artists who've actually done so well after the COVID.
We have not had enough time to recover. That's wrong. We have not had enough time to recover.
It's not enough, but we are in the recovery phase. Yes, we are in recovery. Yes. So do you think this is the slow recovery or the process is also contributing to this begging syndrome that we are seeing? But also, what does begging actually do to the industry? If you're running to politicians to actually ask for cash handouts, what does this do?
Maybe that should go to the beneficiary first.
Okay, John, then I get to Juma, then Charles.
It's not begging, yes, per se. It's not begging.
What's the word for that?
It is
siphoning.
It should be siphoning. Why? Because these people tested good money, right? Good money. Why do I say good money? Good money is you stage an event, you promote it, right, and you get big profits. Big profits. You get the numbers, and then you get big
money.
profits.
Yeah,
that's big money. It is not there in the industry
as now.
It has never been there, because if it were, you would see buildings put up by music artists. Okay, we just put up small.
You realize that most of our musicians who own buildings have been funded by politicians.
Yes, there's no big money in that. Okay, now these people come in. Yes, we can discuss that. These people come in during the COVID and whatever, they splash out money. Money people have never worked. Earned in their entire life. People have been given that money free of charge because you're a musician. After Juma was among the very many people who introduced loads of money in the industry. All right, and that was the problem. We have never gotten that lot of money, and all of a sudden we have that money. And where does it come from? From the Godfather, from them. So
is that killing talent in the industry? So people don't believe they have to actually work harder, but because the money will...
and create a song, because it will take time, a good song, and promote it and so on. Yet somebody, just for example, you had Mulangira Suna, just a minute, you had Mulangira Suna going to Gulu, and yesterday or 2-3 days we had that the general offered $1,000 USDs for a song.
Paying in dollars.
And he announced it.
But that's $1,000 is not a lot of money. That's like
as Mulanga Suna ever earned in dollars?
3.6 million. That's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money to you, but to the musicians it's a lot of money because you do not earn it in music.
Let me share a shocking fact with you. With the occurrence of the Uganda Musicians Federation, that is, that has a camp. I call it a camp at Alul Suits. We have musicians who have never recorded a song, who have never performed anywhere. but they have rooms that are funded by the generous Jenner and his people.
Who has since come out to
Yes.
actually say he's tired of people flocking to his compound.
They
to
sleep,
beg.
eat, okay, and produce in the same place for years. Okay, it's until recently when the man said, "I no longer have that money." Okay, but who has been funding our money, our taxes?
Let me tell you this.
Juma, then Charles.
The background of this matter is not COVID. The background of this money issue is after Bobby Wine.
COVID escalated it.
Yeah, no. After Bobby Wine came into politics, this thing started. Because I remember we had a meeting with the president. I myself was there. When we are, because after Bobby Wine comes in, remember they stopped him to perform. After stopping him to perform, the government was certain that this event is for Bobby Wine. Then after stopping him, we come out and raise a sound that no, you are squeezing us. This is my business. I've already paid him. So that's why the government knew that there is a certain person called the promoter who puts in money to do business for this artist. Now, the reason why I want to support the Johnny's issue that politics is the cause of this matter. After that very meeting, we requested for our refund of money. The government paid us 1.8 to clear our bills, to stop that man to perform.
From performing.
You understand?
Interesting.
That was the starting point for this matter. Then by the time, after that issue, this COVID issue comes in. And remember, we had events. And the government has interest for this tracking system. How does this business work? The artist, the promoter, you understand? So I always say that this 5.6 we got from general or from the government was a school fees for the government to run the music business. You understand? Because before have been given money, you have to write the list of how you put in
your expenditures.
So that they stand on that expenditure of yours
to justify why you deserve a certain amount.
Then after that, we are crying after that compensation, having this issue of URA, NEMA, KCC, police deployment. There are so many things now. So politics is the cause of this matter. And the reason why you think Geno is saying I'm fed up, because they have already got what they want. They have every information to each and everyone. Remember giving us that money, they told us to organize ourselves. We came out with the federation as promoters. After giving us money, we managed to call all members. We had 207 members subscribe to our associations.
Promoters Association.
After clearing them, yes. After clearing them, the other organization comes in and he went back to the general. He also add another money to those ones. Instead of calling us and saying, now, you come here. This is, they claim that they are members. What should we do?
It's called divide and rule.
So that's the challenge you are getting.
So, Charles, if I'm to come to you at the Culture Forum, you do not normally come out strongly on some of these issues, okay? Apart from maybe the issue of the vulgar content that UCC has been talking about lately, I think we also need to talk about that kind of content. But then what is why the way Juma is actually talking about the role of politics and how politics is actually affecting or impacting the sector, why don't we hear the Culture Forum also come out and present a case actually for why this is dangerous for the industry?
Let me go back in history to 1993. In 1993, the creative industry became orphaned. Reason being that in 1993 is when cabinet decided to remove the Ministry of Culture. So as I speak now, there is nobody specifically in government responsible for artists. Artists are in various agencies of government. There's UCC, there's Media Council of Uganda, there's Ministry of Tourism, there's Ministry of Gender, there's Ministry of Justice, and so on. We often say the scattered mandates for the arts, and the effect of that has been that nobody has been paying particular attention to the development of the arts within Uganda. And now that's how we ended up where we are. That somebody within government probably interested in ensuring that what happens to these young people that are musicians, these young people that are filmmakers and so on. And with some of them maybe becoming politicians for that matter. Then the arts became an area of interest. But the biggest issue is actually the fact that nobody in the government is particularly accountable when it comes to arts development. We have not seen a national plan, for instance, for developing the music or theatre or all the other arts, because nobody is actually planning and including these issues in the budget. It was until we started going to Gulu that some of these issues started to make sense. When we went to Gulu, we said we are managed from so many centers within government, and that is bad for business. We said people are not making money from their works, partly because the copyright law it lacks certain provisions that would make it possible for them to make money. Actually, for music particularly, for a long time, many musicians would work towards getting on voluminous platforms to be able to commercialize their works. So every artist works towards being hired to perform at a concert. And when COVID came, that's when we saw that that model was wrong. It was all wrong all along, because people could not perform and they didn't have savings to talk about. The other revenue streams, there are like 22 revenue streams for music. Only one was working, which was the voluminous stream. The others were not working. So in Gulu, we had the opportunity to ask ourselves, why are musicians crying? Why are musicians not making money from their works? And so all these issues, we started debating them and bringing them to the fore. And one of the things was that we need to revise the Copyright Act. Because, for instance, we discovered that musicians that have ringtones, caller tunes, were being exploited by the telecoms. That's 700 shillings that we pay. The musician was only taking 12 shillings. 12 out of 700. That was pure slavery, exploitation of the artist. So we borrowed an example from Kenya and said, if we can go the Kenyan route, because in Kenya, the revenue share for caller tunes is regulated by law. So we proposed that we need a regulation along those lines.
And how much would the threshold move to, from 12 shillings to?
Our proposal is artists should take 60% of the money, because the telecom and the platform operators they don't invest so much in the song. The musician writes the song, they perform it, they promote it, because there's no caller tune that is not a popular song. So having made that investment, it is justifiable that they earn more. So Gulu, part of the purpose really was for us to understand the sector, and with the help of general because he was passionate. He's he's a love of Kadongo Kamu.
Not necessarily Kadongo Kamu. He's a love of the art. Even if the what?
The drama and whatever.
His favorite music is Kadongo Kamu. That's the what I wanted to say. His favorite music is Kadongo Kamu, and so even for Kadongo Kamu, there's been some initiatives to ensure that because the question was Sevata and all the others. People that have been superstars in a way, all of a sudden started to cry over poverty. And everybody concerned really would ask why that is the case. So issues of how people share revenue in caller tunes, issues of the change in the way we consume content, because nowadays the other traditional shops are no longer there, Kasiu, Kira and so on. All of us get our music on phones, on gadgets and so on. So we said let there be a law reform, and that's why the debate for copyright amendment has been on. We hope that, unfortunately, this thing has taken like forever.
So I'm also interested in, you're talking about the low levels of education that characterizes the bulk of the musicians in that sector.
Yes.
And copyright is quite a technical thing. Even for people who go to study law, I have a lot of friends who just said, copyright law is just something we could not deal with. How do you help them actually appreciate something as complex as that?
Let me say, actually, the issue of illiteracy within the creative sector, there's a mapping report of 2014, which was done by UBOS in conjunction with the Ministry of Gender. The levels of illiteracy at that time stood at 30%, and that is huge.
It is more than that.
It can't be just 30.
It's more than that. That's a lie.
No, this is looking at the entire creative industry.
Gabriel,
This is looking at the entire creative industry. There are people who are
entire creative, but you're talking your analogy is all music. You're not talking about the wider arts. Yes.
No, because the discussion was focusing on the question.
I directed that.
Yes, it was music. So the issue of copyright and how artists, actually, one of the challenges we have found is that many artists don't understand their business. So we need to teach them monetization strategies. How do you use copyright to do business? So that's a gap, and we hope, actually, in our engagements recently, last year, we were invited by NPA, National Planning Authority, to look at NDP4, the National Development Plan 4, and for that plan to incorporate actions, interventions that are relevant to the sector. And one of the things we said is we need to educate our people, especially on the business of the arts, their arts, part of which is copyright. How do you use copyright to actually make money? Helping them understand that you cannot stand as a business on one revenue stream. There are other revenue streams that you need to take advantage of so that your business can thrive.
But Charles, I've listened and always listened to your ideas, which are full and rosy. But my issue is, how will they be workable, given the fact that you guys who run the Apex body are not funded, okay? I don't know who funds you. As long as I'm concerned, I know you do not have a budget. And most of your members, have been accused for orchestrating the drama in these things. Because basically you can't chew and whistle. I do not know how my brother Ragadi will push something to benefit the many, yet he is also targeting to benefit in the same thing.
I want you to respond to that after the break.
Yeah.
Yes, let's take a break and then you'll start from
VPN. Views, people and news. VPN. Only on 933 KFM.
Welcome back. We're still discussing the performing arts sector in 2025. This is Views, People and News. My name is Judith Atim, and my guest once again are John Segawa, who's an artist and director at AfriTalent and Buyu Studios, Charles Batambuze, Vice Chairperson, National Culture Forum, Juma Balunywa, spokesperson, Uganda National Promoters Federation. He also runs Balunywa Promoters. Yes. And Gabriel Bule, Arts and Society journalist with the Daily Monitor. So I want John to first respond to something before Charles answers your question. So, John, there's a concern here. When comedians use vulgar music or content or attack each other, and then we hear silence from other art groups when, for instance, musicians go physical, and we don't actually hear much concern from any leadership within the sector. Playwrights, actors attacking each other, descending on themselves at a time when the digital space is also becoming another threat. What does the future look like for the performing arts sector?
Judith, first of all, we are a disorganized lot. Okay? We are not formal at all. Because of the low levels of education. Okay? So, how do you police such a group? Right? How do you police such a group? A group that thinks that when I use the vulgar tone, because I have a bad history, Nazariwa mukazi mwavu, I have a bad history, right? So I will use a vulgar word to create a hit song for survival. That's the thinking of an artist. Because me, I come from a poor background, so I can exploit the music industry and use vulgar language and create a hit, earn money, right? Because promoters, the Balunywas, they are looking for numbers. Where are the numbers today? They are in the illiterate, the youth who are unemployed and who have not gone to school. All right? So their levels of understanding in music are very low levels of understanding. Therefore, these artists create simpler tunes, coining simpler words to survive. I've had an argument with so many people, putting a gap between two sections of artists. Some I call the real music artists, and then those who come into music for business, to make money, for survival. That I can create a song and it's going to be a hit song for 2-3 months, bubblegum music, and then I will go to Juma, and Juma will, because Juma has a debt, he has a loan from the bank, right, and he's supposed to pay monthly fees for that loan.
He's looking for a hit maker.
Regardless of the whatever the literature,
content,
they don't matter. So that is the problem with our sector, right? How do you regulate it? How do you regulate a comedian using vulgar language, right? It's only the audience that can help us to eliminate these elements. See, survival for the fittest. Because, look, it's a market economy open to anybody, right? And these very many artists will operate during the nights when things are really bad, right? So, where is the problem? The problem is the art is very informal. When it is informal, you cannot regulate anything. Right? And the bodies we have cannot grow naturally as bodies. They will go to government to seek funding. And that is the problem. When government comes in to help you out, then it comes with it issues, demands, because it is their money. I want you to do this, I don't want you to do the other. And the basic thing for government the sitting government is to promote itself for survival. So they are going to use that to promote themselves for their personal survival. Period.
Judith,
and then you'd also responsible.
no, on the issue of how do we manage vulgarity, even violence and so on, there are things that we can do within our means as people that work in the sector, in the industry. Last year, Culture Forum developed a set of self-regulations. How do we self-regulate? Because many sectors do self-regulate and actually over time develop standards that become industry standards. Some of them get adopted into national laws, but having originated from the individuals that want to see sanity in communities of practice that want to see sanity in their practice. In the self-regulations, we want to base ourselves on the associations. For instance, the association of promoters, when they have seen the violence, but also the vulgar languages, what actions can they take to ensure that the country is protected? The association of venue owners.
Charles, these associations you want to put trust into, they are formed on a very wrong foundation, which cannot help that cause at all. Because within themselves they are fighting. They are fighting for survival. How can they fight for a bigger audience?
To interject a bit, you had an adult, a president of Uganda Musicians Federation, condoning profanity, claiming that how will they survive? That is deplorable. That is, and those are the people you are managing and you are banking on.
His whatever condoning or whatever was overruled by other people, stakeholders that hold a stake in the music performances. Of course, I know we will achieve a certain level of success. Most of it might be failure, but we have to start somewhere. And we have trust in the associations because for the first time we are giving them work to do.
And associations, Charles, because
So sorry, I want to throw this to Juma as well.
Yes.
So Juma, you are a promoter, and like John is saying, you want a hit, okay? Because naturally you have pressing financial needs. And but the concern here, when we're talking about vulgar content now, the concern, we ultimately know the kind of power that art, music, and whatever it is, whether it's performing or non-performing, has when it comes to shaping society, whether it's creating social change or dismantling certain bad political practices in society. We've seen what art can do throughout the ages, from the Renaissance era to the apartheid days in South Africa to the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. Art has caused tremendous effect across society, across the world at different times. When we're looking at the moral effect of profanity or vulgar music, the concern here is, yes, you need to make money, but do you feel that to a degree you also have a moral responsibility or duty to society? And how then do you strike the balance between making your money but also upholding values and morals of society?
Thank you so much. Now, on that matter, I want to assure you that our organization or our Apex body, we are working hard to see that we are putting morals into the priority, because I was the one with my colleague here on that press conference. I represent our Apex body as a stakeholder to stop those two boys, the Gravity and Lily Puzzle, to stop to put a hand on their songs. But the challenge you are getting now, we as promoters, we are stopping them to because the power we have is on the stage. We stop them to go on stage using our members. Don't book him, don't give him business. But you are doing this, the government on the other alley, You find the political rallies, the Prime Minister is with him.
Last year,
on the stage.
Last year, I think when the Prime Minister was promoting PDM across Western,
You understand?
Central Uganda,
Yes.
every show there was, what's his name, Gravity.
Gravity.
And that the woman who dances that bad dance.
The pitch on stage.
Yes, and at one of the rallies, there was actually a priest who had just said a prayer. He's in his cassock, and it was bad.
Now,
It
that's
was
the challenge
bad.
you are getting.
Yes.
We want to put our thing in order, yet the government, or I can't say the government, but
It is government.
if you have
Yes,
Prime Minister,
that's government,
instead of
yes.
moving with Sebata, you are promoting the Nkumbi Yamba. Instead of moving with Sebata, who has the very song that has a message to that, you are having a certain guy who has a number to come and say kwe pitch on the stage where the people,
Their
the children
children
and what they are there,
yes.
and the way we call those boys in the meeting, they said we can't come to you. Why are you saying that I use vulgar words? Yet
the Prime
yesterday was
Minister-
with the president on the same stage. So that's the challenge you are getting.
Yeah.
But as I want to assure you that we have grown enough. We have kids. We have our in-laws. We can't go that way. We can't go that way.
Interesting. Charles, I don't know what you want to add.
Charles is still avoiding my question.
Or maybe you should ask again.
Your question on funding. Who funds? Who funds the national culture?
How can you operate? How can you assume those full plans can be whatever come to fruition when you are not even funded? Who pays you? Mukolirani.
tukolera ba members baffe. The National Culture Forum is a membership organization. So one of our sources of funding is membership fees from our members. So
How many members do you have?
we have 72 members from across the entire creative industries, and more are still coming. So our member, like the National Entertainment and Promoters Association, pays, and others. So apart from that, we get grants. Sometimes we are lucky to receive a grant from government, even though Segawa says who pays who pays the pipe and whatever. But you see,
for that too.
it's important. And in all countries, by the way, in the world, government plays a role in arts development, either by way of providing grants so that people can apply, those that want can apply for them and so on. Something that we are lacking and something that we would want to see in our country too, that people are able to
But under the
access.
empowerment of the Ministry of Culture.
Absolutely,
Not
yes.
through the politicking of government.
Yeah, actually, there is everything wrong with the way the arts are funded in the country. Right, even before we know of people that have received money from State House, and they have said we are going to invest this money to promote the arts, but instead promote themselves.
I know the commissioner in some ministry
We must
who provides entertainment at almost every public event.
we must avoid the
Provides
thing of the Godfather theory in the arts.
Yeah, so the other way we get funded is through, we compete for grants. So we write MasterCard and all these other foundations that provide grants. So some of our proposals succeed, others fail. However, let me use this platform to appeal to all people of goodwill to have trust in the associations that are evolving with all the challenges that all of you have mentioned. But the way to go is us collectively working together, because it is the only way.
And being formal.
It's the only way we'll be able to tackle and wrestle all these big Goliaths that exist in our industry.
Well, thank you. So I'm glad, John, you brought the issue of the Godfather theory, and it's actually taking me to the next issue, which is politics and music. We are in a busy season. 2025 is here. It's largely going to be dominated by politics, campaigns. I think as soon as we're done with the budget, by half of the year, I think everything else is just politics. And over the years, of course, we've been seeing how musicians are actually taken over by this camp. Ultimately, everyone has a right as a citizen. You have the right to belong, to associate, to choose which political ideology or party you subscribe to. It is not an offense. But I think the concern that has been coming up over the years is the bankrolling by politicians of certain musicians to sell their agenda, and ultimately what this means, because for the greater society now and in the future for this country. Like I said earlier, music shapes society. It gives us that pointer that we need as a society, that this is where we should be going. And if there are bad things happening in society as well, if we have an art industry that is socially conscious or politically conscious, it should also, of course, create content that shapes society towards that direction. But when you see this commercialization of I don't want to say commercialization of politics, the bankrolling of musicians by our politicians to sell certain political ideologies. We already see Alien Skin with Mpuga. In 2016, we saw Bebe Cool and a lot of other artists doing work for the NRM, Museveni and the NRM. We've seen this happen over and over again. What is your projection for this year? What are the risks or the threats that come with these kinds of alliances? Bule, it's fine.
First of all, I do not agree with people who say, I respect their opinions, but I do not agree with people who say that art, specifically music, in this picture let me bring in music and
yes.
theater, that it shouldn't be politicized. You know, you can't separate the two. My issue is the people who monopolize the politics in art. Okay, we have people who think that it is okay to sing for the president, but it is wrong to sing for someone opposing
the president or the establishment
or the current establishment. World over, music has been used to shape the politics of nations. Just recently we saw President Barack Obama jamming to Lose Yourself by Eminem. In Congo, in the post-colonial Congo, we had music specifically created for politics. For my brother here, John, remembers a Congo Candida Nabiso Mobutu, 25 minutes. The president had to talk to Makiadi Ruambo to record a song, 25 minutes, and he distributed tapes across the entire Congo for campaign. And moreover, he was unopposed, but he was still campaigning. That's the power of music in politics. But the issue is the groups that tend to monopolize the politics in music, the use of music for politics to benefit their own interests. That has pushed us into the creation of gangs, because someone thinks this should go beyond music, but I need someone who can come and kick around people, who can go molest women, abuse, do all sorts of violence to benefit to frustrate others at their own interests. At the end of the day, we've created lunatics, masquerading as musicians while orchestrating violence, which is very dangerous.
I want to pick from that very point.
Actually, as you pick,
yes,
my producer Steven has just sent me something. Segal has many productions like others. At one time, your AfriTalent production was banned by the government.
Yes.
Kagutema, what was it
called? State of the Nation.
Yes.
Yeah. We are operating under a naive society. A society with low levels of education. A society with low levels of perceiving things. Right? So politics becomes dangerous. Right? And for a young industry like arts and music to be subjected to political upheavals, it is very dangerous. So my take is politics and arts in a banana republic like this one should be detached. We should not at any one time, because where is the rule of law, right? Because arts operates under a rule of law, because you highlight this and the other, right? What is my role as a creator, as an artist? Is to mirror society, right? And highlight the good that is in society, highlight the bad in society, and come together as a society and discuss and find a solution to that, right? That's how it should be. But today in our Uganda, we are not ready for that. Bule, you have been talking about the politics and the musicians in America. America is 200 years older than us.
Yeah,
right?
I understand.
250, I think.
Or whatever. We are 30, 40 years old as an independent country, 60, right? We are still young and naive to engage a delicate industry like music, to fuse it with politics at any one time.
Basically, we have no choice for now.
We must fight it. We must fight it if we want. It is going to kill us. It has killed the arts. Art, we are not performing anymore. Right? Why aren't you performing anymore? Because the audience is divided. Right? There is a red audience and there is a yellow audience. An artist must not subject himself to that, except when you have declared total allegiance to that. Right? For example, my good friend Moses Salim, total allegiance to the NRM brand. Right?
And it is his right.
It is his right, absolutely.
Right? Saying that wherever he speaks, wherever he performs, he represents that brand, and we know that he's representing it because you cannot be detached from that. So we judge you according to that, right? When he goes to a violent, to a non-appreciating audience, which is pro the Red Brigade and is echoed, it is because yetaba mazina genchima.
Don't go there.
Yes, don't go there. All right? Look, my good friend Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu exploited a vacuum and he came into politics. How? They brought in the arts, to Bonga now and whatever, okay, and they started articulating issues, the politicians. But how did they articulate those issues? They used the musicians to collect, to gather the numbers, right? And then they start articulating the political issues. Now Robert says, why don't I articulate the political issues myself as a musician, right? So that's the chaos, okay? So do we agree with Robert fusing into politics? For me, I do not. But the situation guarantees that. Okay, my problem with him is telling him, if you go to politics, close the door for the arts. But then he will tell you
the artist is vehicle of sending the message.
You, the yellow brand, you have brought it into the rival on the table of politics. And so that is the biggest problem we have.
So, John, you talk about the need to detach music from politics.
Yes,
the arts in general. But also looking at where we are as a country, I think this is quite an uphill task for the whole sector.
We must fight.
But
because you're going to lose it.
It could be even right, but it is not workable. And I don't buy into the idea of that we are a young nation, blah, blah, blah. The post-colonial Congo, right from the start, they thrived on, they banked on art.
Where's Congo? Congo is a disaster.
Look, the president of Ukraine, the president of Zelensky is coming from
but they have run away from Congo. They live abroad. They live in Belgium.
But the issue is, France. We cannot dictate the product.
It's hard.
Okay? We cannot dictate the product.
It because it is going to kill
let me tell you,
the industry.
Where is the Uganda that is being vended by the Salis music?
Look, we are suffocated by a 40-year regime, right? If we are to be genuine, we must appeal to the man who is suffocating us to do a Mandela moment, right? To do a Julius Nyerere moment, right? A clear transition so that people are going to get to know that this man is going away, right? And they help us to prepare a new generation of understanding, devoid of the arts.
John, that's an interesting viewpoint that you're bringing. But I'm I also have this question. You've actually bemoaned the fact that the arts sector, the low levels of education, which definitely means there are low levels of critical thinking in the sector. These are people who cannot perceive what's actually happening. They cannot use a critical lens to understand society. And that's the question. Does it have, because for a politician and a politician in Africa, it's actually very good to have a voting population that is not critical enough, okay? Because then you can manipulate. It's very easy to manipulate that group. However, now as the arts, as someone in the arts sector, don't you then think the task is for you people there to actually ensure that the members that subscribe to this sector actually have, you make them conscious, you elevate their levels of critical thinking and understanding?
You would have done that if you had bodies that regulate the registration of artists that are going to follow up. Where are you from? How did you start your journey as an artist and everything? This is a very informal sector, open to each and everybody. Right? We do not have, say, qualifications like to their profession like journalism. But before you practice, you must produce such and such a paper for you to practice. Ours is open. All right? Anybody
but as you said, we are also invested. I mean, the same profession with with someone called Inakanguvi. and she could be earning more than I do.
The digital influence. Yeah, so I also wanted us to talk a little bit about the digital media and what this is doing to the music, to the performing arts. Is this a game changer? Are there threats or challenges that are also coming with the emergence of digital spaces? Juma and Charles.
I think these digital platforms is also changing this art very speedy. Because as John told you, someone wake up, enter into a studio, using his phone on live, putting out the song in the way he wants, and the song becomes a hit. Now
you would promote such a person?
No, not me as well. But the social media handlers and will promote him in just 1 minute to become a star.
Recently, people were singing about body parts courtesy of TikTok. Currently, there is someone singing about every wild animal. Now we have a Sukwiru Nauru. And it's a hit.
My contribution to the issue of politics to begin with, I think that it's impossible for us to detach the us from politics, because as all of us agree on this table that the us is a reflection. We reflect what happens in society.
Just a minute, Charles. Politics and art in a banana republic, in a situation of political governance of a tired regime of 40 years, is very dangerous.
But John, on that matter, these politicians here, they are not using this art to help them to promote it.
They are using it to promote themselves.
They
are selfish.
They are looking for the numbers that they don't have, so they use you as a vehicle.
They are selfish. They do not want to promote the art.
So Charles, I'm coming back to you. Sorry, we've hijacked the mic from you. But on that note, Juma. You have, for instance, an artist who is so big and he's aligned to political party A, and another one is aligned to political party B. And there are chances that when you organize a concert for them or you promote them, you're going to have all these revelers attending, and tensions will flare at a certain point in time. Maybe this is NRM, okay, I'm not going to mention political party A and B, and maybe you even invite both artists, and then the audience subscribes to different political ideologies, and then A comes on the stage, is heckled, booed, stoned, and so on. How do you handle these kinds of situations?
That's the role of security. Because now here we are.
Which security?
But does it worry you? As a promoter, does it worry you though?
Let me tell you one thing. As let me use the Nkuka style. Last time, the Nkuka became political from the first point of the promoter. After advertising, saying now, if you are so and so, don't enter here.
Yes.
But you know, we've had facts, claims which somehow happen to be facts, that the promoter used the situation to bait the generous general to earn from him. I heard it from Bajo himself saying that, I'm waiting for Abitex. He has gone to pick our money, our Nkuka money from the general.
I'm not sure about that.
He said it.
No. But he said
that's an allegation.
He told you. Yes. But what I'm trying to pull out is now after that situation, this second Nkuka, we have seen those that have been eliminated before on stage. But remember, you as security, you have already know that there is a tension that is going to be out of this after getting these people to the same stage with the other people politically.
Two different political camps on the same stage. Yeah.
The leader, the Kabaka of Uganda, is in the same place. Now it's your duty to deploy according, because that's their profession. Me as a promoter, it can be my way of gathering numbers. But you as a security, what is your role to that? When the Kabaka is there and these gangs are going to go there and the numbers are divided.
My question, maybe let me ask John here. How does police deal with a gang that hobnobs with police?
because let's address the fundamentals. This is a tired government. That's the fundamentals. Those are the fundamentals. We are within a tired government, so it is going to use every Tom, Dick and Harry, who has the numbers to promote itself. All right? For example, they are using a certain Murwana to gather numbers. I saw the Honorable Mpuga seated with Murwana that they are signing a memorandum.
Do you know what, John? Do you know what?
Is he educated to the extent of understanding?
Let me answer you to that, John. Let me answer you to that. Now, you see this difference we have in political members. After this man leaving the part of Kyagulanyi side to go and create his own thing, he knew that the area of Kyagulanyi as a musician has a number at what? He was supposed to look for that one who can counter that. That's why when you hear his presentation for yesterday, he was trying to sugarcoat the incident of the New Year's. Now you see this younger boy, he wants to be helped. Don't quarrel with them. You understand? So this politician must know that our country can't go that way.
So that's why I'm telling you that we must detach
politics from
politics, because our brains are not ready to decipher, to understand the difference.
Gabriel, it's time for us to take a break, and when we come back, the mic is for Charles fast for like 3 minutes, then for the rest of you guys. I don't want to dominate. Welcome back from the break. It is still VPN here on 933 KFM. We're discussing the performing arts sector and what the outlook is for the sector in 2025. Charles, these three gentlemen have dominated the microphone for quite a long time. They've even hijacked the mic from you. I sincerely apologize. But now it's open and no one should interrupt Charles. No one should interrupt Charles. I have ruled. Charles, please. We hijacked the mic when you were actually making a very important
I was making a point, yes. Thank you very much. Let me actually move on and say that probably the biggest attraction to politics is the money that most artists anticipate to make as a result of being part of the process. And I want to talk about money in relation to the question you asked earlier about digital.
Yeah.
Yes. In the current environment, we are losing about 78 billion Uganda shillings to digital piracy in Uganda. It could be much more, but based on our research sometime back in 2018. That is what we estimated. Currently, most of the consumption of music, literature, films, and most creative goods is via devices. I'll get Segawa's play and share it in my WhatsApp groups. And also, those members of the WhatsApp group also belong to other
groups.
Yes. So by the time you know it, over 2 million people have watched your content, and they will not come to theater to watch because John's way of monetizing is through the box office at theater, or Bule's way of monetizing his book is through Aristoc and all the other bookshops. And people want to go there because they already have received a free copy of the work. So that is one of the biggest challenges that we have currently. We have asked government to implement a certain solution that would benefit the creators of such works. In many countries, they are implementing this because technology has affected everybody around the world. In Africa, we're also beginning to adopt these reforms within our laws to ensure that people earn from the free uses of their works. It is something called a private copy levy. It is imposed on gadgets. Every gadget pays this levy once in its lifetime. You know, when it is imported in Uganda, the levy is collected at the customs point. If it is manufactured within Uganda, then the levy is collected at the factory before it gets into the market. And this levy is anywhere between 1 to 5%. It's only Ghana where the levy started at 20%. Later on, they reduced it to 15%. So that's a proposal that we have put on the table to ensure that creators in Uganda also benefit from the free uses of their works. Because you create anything and put it on social media, you know it will be everywhere before you have earned anything from it. So technology, or the adoption of the digital technologies, both a blessing but also a curse in a way, because some people have become poorer because of technology. People don't come to shows because they are watching the
content on their phones or other gadgets.
And then the other challenge is again has to do with the skills of the artists. Like I said at the beginning, that many artists don't understand the business. We have had complaints, especially amongst musicians, that for me, my channel of YouTube is owned by a third party. Yes.
Because the one knows how to manage it.
Yes.
So we're going to take calls now. We have a caller on the line, I think. Hello.
Team, Happy New Year and the whole team in the studio.
Yes, Happy New Year, Juma.
Thank you so much for serving the nation.
Thank you.
Music industry, there is a lack of discipline and respect at large. And I see, since we have discovered that musicians are not organized, I also see some politicians are not organized as well. What are the creation of OMA? What are the purpose of OMA in the first place? Then we come to this one run by Eddie Kenzo. What is the purpose of that federation? Now, if you, who is a politician, you are not an artist, you want to hire an artist, the platforms are there already. You would have gone via OMA, you would have gone maybe via Federation of Eddie Kenzo. Then you pick which artist can suit your project. Now, there's OMA and the producers, or the organizers for the shows, they're running their business, but the politicians are the one interrupting them. And in fact, politicians are the one confusing these artists. They don't know the right way how to acquire artists to go and perform at their functions.
Thank you.
They need to be lectured. These politicians need to be lectured. Some artists who are joining politics, let them be very clear, openly saying that I'm going to run two businesses. So let government set out if you can run business alongside politics.
Okay, thank you, Juma. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we don't have much time, so we'll just only have that one call from Juma. It's just 6 minutes to 11. So Juma says there's lack of discipline and respect. Musicians are not organized. Politicians are also not organized. Politicians are confusing the artists. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yes, it's the burden of the time.
It's the burden of the time, and I think, you can't. You can't. Basically, politics is confusing a confused whatever country.
Sector.
A tired country, a tired, overburdened country. You see, and they are using arts to cleanse, to cleanse their dirty linen. No, it will not work. It will not work. It's only going to kill the arts. It's killing the sector, because it cannot be regulated if it is subjected to politics. Because we know politics, there are back doors you have to pass through. For example, this instance we had over the weekend. What is going to happen to these people? Where is the police? Okay, we are here talking about it. The other one is talking about the other. You read the police report. Absurd. You see, it's the politics, nothing else. Before we tackle and discuss the issue of our politics, music and arts is going to struggle and suffer. Yes.
Thank you.
From where I stand,
Yes,
the disorganization within the arts industry is not because the artists can't organize themselves, but it's because the foundation, at the level of government, government is very disorganized. Like I said, I highlighted the issue of scattered mandates. Artists are managed from different centers within government.
Yes.
You have UCC, you have Media Council, you have Ministry of Gender, you have Ministry of Tourism, you have Justice, and so on.
How about national guidance?
Yes, national guidance and so on.
We have 3 minutes to actually wind up.
In many countries, they are organized. They understood that artists would be disorganized even in those countries. So they have set up institutions that ensure that artists are regulated well and they are managed well. So even for Uganda, now that we are increasingly becoming aware that we need to organize, so government needs to do things. One, revive the Ministry of Arts and Culture. Two, set up an arts council. Then all these other things we've been talking about will be discussed.
Okay, thank you. Juma, as you conclude.
Yeah, as I conclude, I call upon our members to put into order the resolution that we have made yesterday for these Ganga groups. We told them yesterday we are not going to book again those two people on our stage before they declare that they are not going to do the same thing that they are doing to our audience, because our business will be down. Yes.
Okay.
I can't say a lot to a deaf government. I should speak to the audience. Please kindly avoid people who are confusing you. Avoid gangs. Don't book them. Don't attend their shows, or even when you see them on a particular poster. That's how we can avoid such noises. Because you can't tell me that someone can beat up a person and police is there. How can a gang leader call a DPC to help, and the DPC why don't you intervene?
Just a minute for information. Yesterday we have been going to have another chaos after this Kanyama went to the Uber. They organized themselves to attack the gang on his home. Then by the time the DPC knows that they are going there, the military, went and deploy and get these people to police being detained. We ask now, you are detaining these ones.
What about the others?
Why don't you call the one who the proposal to police and we see what is going on?
Yes, but there's a question for you, John, for Juma. What are you cooking for our audience yearning for entertainment this year? And then, John, as you conclude, which production are you having this weekend? But you said this year you're not doing anything. Okay.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for giving the arts a platform, because having 2 hours discussing arts is a plus outside.
It is, yeah.
We have been talking about politics and fusing it with the arts, you know. Juma is talking about Mulwana but Mulwana is a creation of government to fight Robert. Okay, so he's funded and spoon-fed by the government. So government must detach itself from politics. I mean, from the arts for us to survive. For us as a performance, we can't because the audience is not educated enough to understand who is for and who is against. Yes.
Thank you very much. So, Juma, what is it? What are you working on for us
As a business person,
and also, how will you protect us, the revelers, so that we're not stunned when we come to watch?
As I told the country before, that we can't allow a business to go away as we are looking it, as we are seeing it. We are organizing ourselves to see that we are going to protect anyone as we are avoiding those ones.
Just don't do this on behalf of Juma. Please organize your organizations as promoters.
Thank
you. You are the cause of all of this.
Time. Thank you very much, gentlemen. This is VPN, our maiden show of the year. We'll be back next Saturday. It is bye-bye. Time for news, and Juliet is all set for the news.
K-Drive.